A major wind power setback raises big questions and heats up the debate. The battle over offshore wind in New England just took an explosive turn. Federal regulators are now rethinking their earlier approval for a significant wind energy project off the coasts of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, throwing fresh uncertainty into the region's bold, clean energy ambitions. But here's where it gets controversial. This federal about-face could threaten the future of renewable energy in New England, a region desperate to meet aggressive climate targets. On September 3rd, in a filing with the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, BOEM, announced it's reconsidering its 2024 approval for the construction and operation of Avangrid's New England Wind 1 and Wind 2 developments, formerly called Park City Wind and Commonwealth Wind. Instead of pushing forward as expected, the agency now plans to formally ask the court by October 10th to send the approval back to them and erase their previous green light. If the court agrees, the initial go-ahead vanishes, forcing the agency either to start from scratch or even walk away entirely. For those tracking clean energy's progress, this is a dramatic twist. So why this sudden change? The answer is rooted in a May lawsuit led by ACK for Whales, a Nantucket-based environmental group joined by the Wampanoag tribe of Gay Head, Aquina, Green Oceans, and several fishing organizations and individuals. They argue that approving the wind projects without exhaustive environmental and historical reviews violated bedrock federal laws. Specifically, they claim the review process glossed over how building the turbines could harm endangered North Atlantic right whales, disrupt fishing livelihoods, and impact Native American cultural areas. Valerie Oliver, president of ACK for Whales, didn't mince words. The government was so eager to push these projects through, it cut legal corners and ignored the damage it would do to sacred native sites, to fisheries, to the whales themselves. She insisted that those behind the lawsuit believe getting these massive, potentially destructive turbines in the water was the only goal. Consequences for the rest of us be damned. The lawsuit's broader implications are hard to ignore. Not only does it spotlight threats to right whales and local fisheries, but it also challenges the very framework of how major green projects are evaluated. Attorney Thomas Stavola, Jr., representing the plaintiffs, sees the BOEM's move as a critical turning point, arguing that the agency has finally acknowledged long-standing flaws in the approval process that may have violated critical environmental statutes. Let's not forget the scale of these projects. New England Wind 1 and 2 could include as many as 129 wind turbines, generating up to 1,800 megawatts of energy, enough to power more than 1 million homes. The ambitious plan was slated to bring the first phase ashore this year at Craigville Beach in Barnstable, with a larger second phase landing at Dowsas Beach, though that agreement is still up in the air. Pushback has been fierce from local communities as well. The activist group Save Greater Dowsas Beach rallied behind the federal government's decision to reconsider the projects, predicting that it hopefully spells the end for at least 2 out of the 3 planned landings in their residential areas. Chairwoman Suzanne Conley underscored that Barnstable, already hosting infrastructure for the 804-megawatt Vineyard Wind 1, stands to bear the brunt of yet more industrial expansion. Stacey Genther, also of Save Greater Dowsas Beach, voiced concern over new substations needing hundreds of thousands of gallons of toxic cooling fluids, high-voltage cables running under residential roads, and the risks to Cape Cod's only drinking water source, the underlying aquifer. Some, like Dustin Delano from the New England Fishermen's Stakeholder Alliance, see this federal pause as a rare victory for fishermen, coastal communities, and endangered species alike. He went even further, crediting the Trump administration for taking steps since January to scrutinize offshore wind projects more closely, stirring controversy by arguing that fishermen, not foreign wind companies, are the real stewards of the sea. But here's the part most people miss. There's a crucial opposing argument. Supporters of the wind projects, including Governor Maura Healey, argue passionately that New England cannot afford to stall. Offshore wind, after all, is central to the region's climate plans, a lifeline for reducing fossil fuel use and creating thousands of new jobs. In a recent statement, Healy rebuked the federal government's move, warning that holding up these projects could deny affordable energy, economic growth, and progress on sustainability goals. After years of comprehensive review, she claims the permitting process should not be reopened, especially when jobs and energy security are at stake. Avangrid, the company leading the projects, is currently staying quiet, declining to comment as the drama unfolds. So what happens now? As of now, the lawsuit and agency actions have put everything in limbo. The court is on pause while the government prepares its request to undo project approvals, with a deadline of October 10th. After that, Avangrid and the opposing coalition can file their arguments by November 22nd, followed by a final government response by December 11th. Only then will the future become clear. If the court agrees to vacate the approvals, construction grinds to a halt. But that doesn't guarantee the end of the line. BOEM could correct the issues and start the review process over, potentially giving the projects a fresh shot if all legal standards are met. Now it's your turn. Should New England prioritize environmental scrutiny and the concerns of local communities and fisheries, or accelerate renewable energy projects in the battle against climate change? Is this just a necessary check on rush development, or a dangerous roadblock for clean energy? Sound off in the comments. Are you celebrating the pause, or rooting for wind power to surge ahead? Reporting by Heather McCarran, Climate and Environment Correspondent.